sell. When you got old stuff, you got to sell it. Marty's going to tell us about the other big story over the last couple of days, and that's what's going on in China. We've got what's going on here with the banks, and then we've got their bank, the Bank of China, saying, we're going to limit lending, and that's freaked everybody around the rest of the world out. Is there a reason for that?
Well, I'm kind of scared the way you referred to our Banker China, because what happened today is Secretary Clinton basically read our Banker the Riot Act. But
yes.
She's a diplomat, so she did it very nicely.
Yep.
She gave a very important speech called the Internet Freedom Speech, and she said, this is what's important to us, and China, you're on the wrong side of history. I'm drastically recharacterizing what she said. This was, of course, caused by the flap with Google, where Google has made allegations that somebody hacked their systems, and as a result of that, they may consider not doing business. And also they may consider no longer censoring the Google search results. So a lot of people are worried, what does this mean? And Secretary Clinton gave a previously scheduled address that said as follows. We're America. It was very nice to listen to her. She read out, she cited FDR's 4 freedoms, and she added a 5th freedom, the freedom of connectivity. And she made a very pro-business, very elegant listing of what's important to us. And the internet and free information is utterly important to our way of life and how we do business. And she was able to cite some pretty gee-whiz statistics. So, for example, 10% increase in penetration of mobile phones in some country will lead to 1% of GDP. That's pretty good. And she's saying to China, listen, you can't have these firewalls about information. We will have less trust in your businesses if we think that they're not getting everything.
Okay, but she gives this big patriotic speech. Does China actually listen? Or do they just give us the and then we're done?
All right, well, to characterize it as if she were my lawyer and I'm the client, I'm thinking that this was a very elegant demand letter where she's saying to China, this is what's important to us. You are breaching something that's important to us. We're going to go to court. But unfortunately, this is what's important to China, too. This is the government self-preservation.
Don't they have hand? Doesn't China basically say, look, you're telling me what to do? No, we're telling you what to do.
Well, if I go into a negotiation, I believe the other guy has hand, but I'm already sunk.
I understand what you're saying, but
what's the reality?
Look, she made the interdependence argument. And when you say that China, has lent us all this money, are they going to foreclose on us? They do not want us to go bankrupt. Right? So there's interdependence, and I'm not quite sure that as a strategic approach we have to decide who has hand, and do they really have hand?
From a trade perspective as well, we're so interdependent, but they are protectionist in many ways. What do we have to hold over them? What do we have as leverage to say, you really need to, if you're not doing this, you really need to do this?
I'm laughing because one of our allegations is that we're accusing them of stealing our advantage, which is the high-tech capability. Yep. So that's part of the present dispute is that we're going to say, listen, she called for an investigation into the hacking incident. She says she wants the results to be transparent. So we're headed to court. Both.
But do we win?
Only time will tell. Look, the government, they believe that their government's survival is at stake. She made points that, look at East Germany. Look at Iran is teetering as a result of the free flow of information. Ultimately, your government will fall unless you take some sort of action because suppression is never, ever going to work in the long term.
Because this is still relatively a young country. They're still kind of coming up with rules.
We're the oldest country.
But young economically, very young economically as far as as far as our conversation here. They're creating rules as we go. We have risks of inflation there now. I get, and a lot of people believe that it is the place to invest, that the economy is still booming there, but you can understand why you find a lot of people very nervous about it and sketchy about going over there.
For a run-of-the-mill or typical business, if you look at like a 20-year perspective, it is a lot easier to do business in China than 20 years ago. I mean, I can get a Chinese trademark application from my desktop at this point. I have some security that I'll be able to enforce my rights in a Chinese legal system. Look at a 20-year perspective. Things are going in the right direction, but we have this thing looming on the horizon, a protectionist or dictatorial authoritarian government. That's the problem.
Martin Schwimmer, partner in Moses and Singer's Intellectual Property. Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thanks for
being
here.
here.